Welcome to RE Uncut. Our daily shows are powered by CoreLogic and supported by Printforce, Rockend and Realty.com.au.
Mark McLeod, our guest this week, and Dean Yeo will ask him what you and your business need to do to grow when a crisis hits. And it doesn't have to be the crisis like the one that we're experiencing right now. Dean Yeo back with Mark McLeod in just a moment.
With the evolution of social media, marketing of property is no longer linear. Consumers are influenced differently. The Property Show is unique in that it empowers agents to connect with buyers and sellers through personalised content, social media and artificial intelligence. The Property Show delivers personalised, laser-focused marketing by combining new media, social media and audience targeting, and gives the agent a digital voice. See how well the Property Show works, and then let's get started telling the world about your property. See it now exclusively at Realty.com.au.
So what do you and your business need to do when a crisis hits? What's that one about, Mark?
Well, I think, all of us have faced, we could imagine the last 4 months of COVID have been a crisis, but I think it's naive to think, Dean, that over the years, if you're going to have a long-term career, there's not going to be crises at different stages. For me, every industry in the world has a core product. Many people have heard me talk about this, but it's still such a fundamental of what I believe. If you look at some industries around the world or some companies, you look at McDonald's. McDonald's core product is time. McDonald's doubled their turnover and significantly increased their turnover when they added drive-throughs because it increased their core product. Champagne, for example, core product is celebration. Many people have heard me say I live with my girl who happens to celebrate the end of every day type of thing, you know what I mean? So, but the reality for us, our core product as an industry is trust.
Yep.
And so when crisis hits, the great businesses go back to that fundamental. If I'm a principal and I lose some staff, they obviously lost trust in me. And why did they do that? I think one of the things that I've learned over the years working with, say, great business owners is when something occurs, they ask, what was the role that I played in it? Very rarely do people recruit someone from you. People leave you, and they probably leave you because there's been a breakdown of our core product. Whether they trusted you that you were the vehicle to build their career, they trusted you in the decisions and the framework that you used to make those decisions. From an agency's perspective, if things aren't going well, I've told this story once where a guy rang me one day and said, I'm in a slump. And I said to him, mate, make 200 phone calls a day and ring me in a month. And after a month, he hadn't called, and I went back to him and he said, mate, I'm too busy. See, what he did is that he just reconnected with people. He made all those calls. So when people hit a crisis, my recommendation is to pare it back to what is so essentially important for what we do, to make sure that all the critical moments or the critical parts of your business are functioning well. Do we have good database connection and database value? One of the questions I ask someone all the time is, what value do I get as a consumer to be in your database? So I go back and ask that question. What value do I get for turning up at your open home and giving you my details? What's that exchange about? I'm going to give you my details. What's the value proposition for me? And each of those points creates different trust. If you ever look at businesses, and let's put COVID aside, look at businesses that have reached crisis in the business, 99 times out of 100, you can go and point to the most basic of fundamentals that underpin their business, and there's been a fracturing of those processes, whether it's
Uber is a prime example.
Well, 100%. Whether it's the fracturing of the relationship, it's the fracturing of the process that leads to the relationship. There's been a focus of putting probably the agent or agency at the center of the universe rather than putting the consumer at the center of the universe. And I think in 9 times out of 10, each one of those points creates a layer of trust. And when that trust is broken, that's when crisis kicks in. So unfortunately, there's no magic wand to fixing a crisis. There's not going to be a magic wand to fixing what we've been through in COVID. It's going to be a long, slow recovery. And I'm encouraging the people that I work with to make sure that when you put the pieces of your business back together, make sure you put them back to bed better than what it was. You know, we've come out of this and the market's been pretty good. Stock levels have been low and sales have been strong. You know, we're still yet to face some headwinds, I think, later in the year when a lot of the stimulus comes out of the system, and I think a lot of people's structures will be tested then. I'm praying not for all of our industry and everyone in our industry in our country, but that's the case. So for me, you know, when crisis hits, ask yourself, what role did I play in it? Do I have myself at the centre of my universe or my customer? And what are the value propositions to build our core product back to our consumers?
And that's an absolute critical one that majority of people probably don't even ask the right sort of questions as far as what is value to those different customers, as far as someone coming through an open home or someone being a landlord or someone being a seller, that they may not even ask, you know, the questions of what they see as value. Who are you? What do you do? And why should I care?
Well, I ask myself all the time, you know, I think about, and this is probably a slide discussion, but you think about data today, you know, I don't know your world or other people's world, but my world, myself and Kel and our families, you know, our data has a value to it. You know, we're reasonable consumers. We try to buy some nice things and have a nice holiday and do nice things. You know, we work really hard for it. And so there's some value in who we are as a consumer on the way that we spend. And that's the same for everybody. So as I become more data aware, as the world's become more data aware, people are now starting to say, well, what's the value you provide me if I'm going to give you my name, phone number, and email address, which is a valuable piece of information? What's the value exchange for that? You know, and so, you know, when we've had many businesses over the years, as we've had many agents who have hit some troubles, it's inevitable, you know. I always try to pare it back, and invariably you'll see a breakdown of trust, a breakdown of our core product, or breakdown exchange of value somewhere along the supply chain.
That's a great point. The trust is absolutely, as we talked, the glue of our industry.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot, Mark.
No worries, mate.
The Daily RE Uncut show is powered by CoreLogic and supported by Printforce, Rockend and Realty.com.au. Realty.com.au is where you will see all our shows. Real Estate Talk, The Property Show, Auction Update, and of course RE Uncut. We are the home of property.